Chapter 505 to 506.
Boom.
Just as the box of ultimate bliss and Fujin landed on the ground one after another, Hiroko's chimera bird in the sky also let out a painful cry, with blood constantly dripping out of the large hole in its body. It crashed into a nearby building and died immediately. Hiroko frowned and shifted his vision to Fujin standing carefreely on top of the box of ultimate bliss. Hiroko noticed that although Fujin has also experienced a long battle against the monster of the box of ultimate bliss just like Tsunade and Jiraiya, there are no visible traces of that battle on Fujin's body. In fact, there was not even a speck of dust on his black gold-rimmed Amatsukami cloak. Hiroko then focused his gaze on the green wind pattern mask of the other party and sneered coldly. "You didn't run away using this opportunity?" The members of Amatsukami are inexplicably self-confident even in the face of their death. Fujin didn't answer, just coldly glanced at Hiroko. In the original Naruto story, Hiroko failed to successfully complete his Kekkai Genkai absorption ritual. At that time, he, who barely managed to absorb 4 Kekkai Genkai, was already capable of crushing Hatake Kakashi's squad 7 along with the rest of Konoha 11. Just imagine, a Hokage candidate like Hatake Kakashi couldn't manage to hold his own against Hiroko. This alone proves that Hiroko's strength at that time was already beyond Kakashi's level, who was already a Kage-level shinobi. At the last moment, if Hiroko hadn't insisted on absorbing Naruto's futon, Raisin Shuriken with his dark release, he wouldn't have paid the price of failing. Futon. Raisin Shuriken turned out to be far superior ninjutsu than he had imagined. As a result, not only was he unable to absorb it but also suffered serious injuries after the failure, because he couldn't dodge it in time, because it was already too late. If he hadn't insisted on that, then Hiroko wouldn't have lost and died on that day. But even if he lost and died, it wouldn't be wrong to assume that Hiroko, at that time, was already a Kage-class powerhouse. And in this verse, not only did he get the full support of the Akatsuki organization in carrying out his Kekkai Genkai absorption ritual, but also managed to successfully absorb all 5 Kekkai Genkai that he wanted to. So, if we exclude the hidden dangers of Chimera Buds and 5 extra souls in his body, then it wouldn't be wrong to say that the current Hiroko is a perfect fusion of all 5 Kekkai Genkai. Moreover, the 5 Kekkai Genkai that he has absorbed in this verse are far more compatible with his body than they were in canon. So, in terms of potential and pure strength, Hiroko was already a super Kage-class powerhouse at the moment he successfully completed the ritual. The only shortcoming he had was the lack of combat experience, which is a common problem for most researchers. However, after so many fierce life and death battles that he has experienced ever since completing his ritual, this shortcoming of Hiroko is also quickly made up. The last battle he fought against the Yondaime Reikage was clear proof. Although Hiroko at that time failed to kill the Reikage, he did manage to overwhelm and suppress Reikage, who was supposed to be the fastest shinobi alive. Fujin, who has had the same experience as Hiroko, knows very well that with the enrichment of combat experience and increased proficiency in the use of various Kekkai Genkai, the combat wisdom of Hiroko can already display his 100% strength. So now, Fujin at a single glance can see that the current Hiroko has far surpassed all the current Kage. In fact, even if the 5 Kage were to team up together to fight him, they would still be unable to do much damage to Hiroko, and would still be defeated just like they were defeated at the hands of Madara in the 4th Great Shinobi War. After all, ninjutsu is pretty much useless against him in taijutsu. He is already one of the best in the shinobi world, faster than Reikage, and stronger than Tsunade. Coupled with the insight and genjutsu bonus that Sharingan provides him, there is hardly any attack that would escape his eyes, so Fujin doesn't believe that any of the current Kage has what it takes to defeat Hiroko. Of course, the Death Reaper seal in Sandaime Hokage's hands might prove effective, but who knows if the Shinigami will be able to match Hiroko's speed and rip Hiroko's soul out of his body. So, in simple words, Hiroko is no longer what he used to be a few years ago. If someone looks at him with the same old eyes and treats him in the way they used to treat him a few years ago, then their end would be the same as bloody Jiraiya and Tsunade, who have fallen to the ground and are unable to put up even a decent fight. Of course, Fujin is different. Whoosh 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 whoosh. While Fujin and Hiroko observed each other, several figures appeared on the battlefield. These people are either dressed in Konoha shinobi vests or Konohambu vests, meaning they are Konoha reinforcements sent by Sandaime Hokage. Many of these shinobi are Fujin, such as Hatake Kakashi's special tactical team, including other shinobi. In fact, even Team Ro, led by Watatsumi, a shadow clone, is also part of the reinforcement. The current situation is different from when Satori attacked the village. At that time, Sandaime Hokage had learned about Satoru's special abilities through Jiraiya and knew that the number advantage wouldn't work against Satori. Therefore, he did not send out too many shinobi to the battlefield. But right now, Akatsuki organization has launched a full-scale attack on Konoha. The Konoha shinobi stationed at various key areas have all started to use comprehensive strategies to resist and counter the revenge of the Akatsuki organization. Now glancing at Konoha shinobi in front of him that have come here as reinforcement, not only was Fujin not happy, instead, he frowned slightly. The enemy in front of Hirako. Most of these shinobi that have been sent here by Sandaime Hokage are useless. Except for his shadow clone, i.e. Watatsumi, Hatake Kakashi, Tsunade, and Jiraiya, nobody else is even qualified to be present here, so he had to figure out how to send them away from here. After all, their presence here is equivalent to seeking death at the hands of Hirako. While Fujin thought about how to deal with these people, the Konoha shinobi who have arrived here as reinforcement noticed the bloody Jiraiya and the injured Tsunade. Tsunade-sama, Jiraiya-sama. As soon as they spotted the injured Tsunade and Jiraiya, a commotion broke out among the Konoha shinobi who have come here as reinforcements. Obviously, nobody expected that as soon as they would come to the battlefield, they would spot two of the legendary Sannin injured and knocked down by a member of the Akatsuki organization. But even if a commotion broke out, there were still a few calm individuals in the crowd who maintained their cool, like Watatsumi, for example, who instead of panicking, ordered their subordinates to help Jiraiya-sama and Tsunade-sama. So with the support of Konoha shinobi, both Jiraiya and Tsunade stood up. Based on the damage both of them received at Hirako's hands, Tsunade's injury should have been much worse compared to Jiraiya, but at this moment, Tsunade is in a much better condition than Jiraiya's. The bloody hole that ran through her back to her chest has disappeared with no scars left behind, although she seems to be a little exhausted. On the other hand, although Jiraiya's injuries have healed quite a lot under Tsunade's treatment, there is still a look of malaise. Not to mention the excessive chakra consumption because of which the Sannin mode has disappeared, and the two great sage toads are also panting lightly. Despite all this, Hirako did not take advantage of this good opportunity. Instead, he watched this scene with great interest, as if he is relishing the pain Konoha is feeling today. Even a few years back, he had wanted to destroy Konoha, but was unable to due to many reasons. But today Konoha will finally be destroyed, and this is making him very ecstatic. He wants to enjoy every bit of this moment. At this moment, Akame's figure flashed to the side of the box of ultimate bliss, and while vigilantly watching Hirako, she looked at Fujin and asked in a very familiar tone, "What's the situation now? Are we already so familiar with each other? Besides, doesn't she realize that currently, she is in her umbu guise? So, by common sense, I shouldn't be able to recognize her," thought Fujin under his breath, then realized, or maybe she didn't try to hide it because she knows about my Byakugan. Yes, this seems reasonable. After thinking so, Fujin looked at Akame and said, "You came here just right. This box will be handed over to you." Kakashi, who wasn't dressed as an umbu, but as a regular Konoha shinobi, also came near the box, and while carefully watching it he asked, "This is Kusagaki's box of ultimate bliss?" Fujin nodded gently, "Yes, take it away, and seal it somewhere so that Akatsuki doesn't get their hands on it." Although Fujin also has an interest in the box of ultimate bliss, and would like to study it, however, the current situation is too precarious, and he can't get distracted by the box of ultimate bliss while fighting against the members of the Akatsuki organization, so it is better to let Konoha safe keep it for him until he feels like wants to study it. Seeing that a Matsukami did not attempt to take the box of ultimate bliss with them, Kakashi sighed in a relieved tone, then waved his hands to his subordinates and asked them to transport this ominous box somewhere safe. Under Kakashi's instructions, several Konoha shinobi came toward the box of ultimate bliss and tried to remove it from the main battlefield. Hirako, on the other side, also noted the actions of Konoha shinobi. With a frown, he took a step forward, and while walking towards the box of ultimate bliss, he said with a scowl, "Who allowed you pests to move the box of ultimate bliss?" Seeing Hirako coming closer and closer, Akame took out a pair of kunai and was going forward to try to stop him, but was stopped by Fujin. "You are not his opponent. Don't rush to a meaningless early death." Akame looked at Fujin with a puzzled look and asked, "There are so many of us. Can he still defeat all of us single-handedly?" Whoosh. The moment Akame's words fell, Hirako had already flashed in front of her and raised his hardened arm in order to pierce through Akame's chest to kill her in one shot. Seeing Hirako's darkened arm strengthened by steel release gradually approaching her chest, Kurenai's face, under her Akame mask, was astonished. Her body was unable to react to such high speed, and she literally felt death approaching her step by step. Smash. But just as Hirako's arm approached Akame's chest and was about to pierce through her heart, Hirako's figure suddenly disappeared with a loud smashing sound as he was kicked away by Fujin. Boom. Before anyone could react to the sudden change in the situation, Hirako, who had flown away and collided with the building about hundreds of meters away, quickly stood up and glared at Fujin with eyes burning in rage. "You are looking for death." The kick just now was nothing to him. Hirako's entire body is strengthened by steel release, so ordinary taijutsu attacks are meaningless against him as they cannot hurt him. Although he isn't hurt physically, he is still very annoyed at being kicked in the face. It's as if the other party wasn't just kicking his body, he was also kicking his pride. Fujin could care less about what Hirako felt, After having kicked away Hirako, he walked in front of Akame and said to her, "Take that box and retreat. None of you are capable of surviving against him. Only this one can fight him." Yes. After having a first-hand experience of just how powerful Hirako is, Akame felt ashamed and annoyed, although reluctantly, she followed Fujin's order and retreated back. Kakashi, on the side, suddenly felt a little tangled up. He wasn't sure whether he should help the Amatsukami member in front of him to deal with Hirako, or if he should retreat back along with Akame. However, Hirako didn't let Kakashi feel tangled up for too long and said viciously, "Your magnet release is useless against me, and since you are so eager to suffer then I don't mind tearing up your limbs. Anyway, as long as you don't die, Nagato should be able to extract information out of you." After that, he pulled out an afterimage and rushed toward Fujin at a faster speed compared to the time he fought against Jiraiya. We'll see about that. After a light snort, Fujin didn't bother to waste his breath. He directly flashed from his position and greeted Hirako's fist in front of him. Boom. In an instant, the two figures collided with each other at an extremely fast speed, and a booming sound rang in the surroundings due to the collision of two fists immediately afterward. Everyone felt the airwaves produced by the collision of two fists. Crack. Broke. Ears and air weren't the only ones affected by the collision. Even the ground beneath Fujin and Hirako's feet instantly collapsed due to the huge reaction force, and the cracks continued to extend outward, covering a range of dozens of meters. Unexpectedly, your physical strength is not so weak, Hirako muttered with a wicked smile. Undoubtedly, after this short collision of fists, Hirako realized that the other party's physical strength is also extraordinary, and with the way he carries himself, he's not just a ninjutsu-type shinobi who only relies on magnet release, but Hirako isn't pressured or panicked by this misjudgment. On the contrary, he is excited and feels as if his blood is boiling for a good fight before he captures the other party. Fujin did not bother answering Hirako. He just tilted his head slightly and instantly used a reverse sweeping kick. Hirako's body sank, and the black 3 tomo in the scarlet copy wheel were spinning quickly. Although he cannot see the contraction and relaxation of muscles in the other party's body because of the other party's cloak, this doesn't stop him from avoiding the other party's attacks upon judging their trajectory. And immediately after dodging the other party's reverse sweeping kick, he immediately strengthened his right arm with steel release and pushed it forward to directly pierce through the other party's chest. At this instant, Fujin's body was still in midair because of the momentum of the previous reverse sweeping kick, and there was almost no foothold for him to use in order to dodge the attack. So Hirako's face flashed a smile which clearly indicated his success. Humph. He dared to compare speed with my swift release? And insight with my Sharingan? Such a stupid guy. Hirako sneered coldly. He is more than confident that except for Nagato and Nagato's Tendo Pain, nobody in this shinobi world surpasses him in terms of speed and insight. At the same time, he also enjoyed the sense of accomplishment that comes with stifling powerhouses. For a moment, Hirako even felt that if the member of Amatsukami in front of him was stronger, perhaps this Konoha collapse plan would have become more interesting. It's a pit. However, Hirako's smile quickly solidified because Fujin, who was in midair, adjusted his body in such a posture that he not only avoided Hirako's piercing arm but also landed several back-and-forth kicks. Boom. There was another muffled sound, and Hirako, who was again kicked away by Fujin, flew all the way to the end of the street and knocked another big hole in the same wall of the same building he previously collided into. Of course, he wasn't seriously injured or anything because his body was completely hardened by the use of steel release, so without much weight, he jumped out again, but his face was no longer the same as it used to be, and no longer filled with mockery. One time could be a fluke or carelessness, but the second time cannot be. At the same time, he also realized a few other things and was deeply shocked, but how is this possible? For some reason, Hirako had a faint feeling that the other party knows Sharingan very well, and even knows how to deceive Sharingan's insight. But this is obviously impossible unless the other party also has Sharingan. Is it possible that he also has the Sharingan? Thought Hirako for a moment. He didn't think of any other dojutsu because as far as he knows, except for Sharingan, no other dojutsu allows its user to be able to use the Eye of Insight. Fujin obviously didn't know Hirako's thoughts, but even if he knew, he wouldn't care. The reason he understands Sharingan so well is that he has personally used Sharingan, Manjikyu Sharingan, and even the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan that Hirako would never be able to in his entire life. Not to mention, he has trained with Shursui and Itachi for years already, and both of them are masters in using the Sharingan. Hirako, no matter how good he is, will never be able to compare to the likes of Shursui and Itachi. Besides, Fujin currently has Byakugan, so he can perceive Hirako's chakra flow and react accordingly, coupled with the fact that he can sense the change in the surrounding airflow caused by the movements of Hirako, so nothing Hirako does would escape Fujin's perception. Moreover, Fujin has to not only fight Hirako but also guard against the sneak attack from Nagato and Obito. Therefore, His perception is currently 100% activated, so Fujin is paying attention to each and every change in the surrounding airflow. He had to make sure that he can perceive Kamui, lest it tears him apart, and he dies here inexplicably. While Fujin was silent, Hirako noted that the Konoha shinobi have taken this opportunity to move the box of ultimate bliss out of his field of vision. Angered, Hirako roared, "Damn it, it appears that I must get serious." Whoosh. In less than an instant, Hirako, who disappeared from his previous position, appeared to rush straight toward Fujin. The full speed displayed by Hirako under the complete eruption of his strength is simply jaw-dropping. Even if it was just an ordinary impact, it stirred up high-pressured airwaves, and a faint sonic boom resounded in everyone's ears. Fujin's expression shrank, although he had expected that Hirako has not yet displayed his true limits. Now that the scene appeared before him, he could no longer keep his hands and must fight this battle with a bit of seriousness. Boom, 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 bang, 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 bang. And as the two figures clashed, dozens of afterimages appeared on the battlefield in less than a split second. Obviously, the ones fighting are only two people, but their speed is so fast that to normal people it appears as if dozens of people are clashing against one another. Each other their moves would produce a sonic boom, creating high-pressure sharp airwaves that were even capable of cutting through stones. The ground beneath their feet would crack, and an endless roar of walls and houses collapsing burst out. Are they some kind of monsters? The Konoha shinobi on the sidelines were stunned, and their eyebrows jumped out in shock upon witnessing such an inhuman level of battle. Let alone ordinary Konoha jonin, even Jiraiya and Tsunade were not much different. Both of their faces were filled with astonishment. The strength and speed of Fujin and Hirako have completely exceeded the dimension of their imagination. Moreover, this sonic speed is not a one-time burst, as the two of them are constantly fighting at such an inhuman speed and are only getting faster and faster as their battle is progressing. And those dazzling taijutsu skills are simply making their goosebumps stand up in fear, nervousness, and excitement. Toad Fukasaku, who had previously jumped on top of Jiraiya's head, said in wonder, "Unexpectedly, this member of Amatsukami can match the speed displayed by Swift Release. It's really incredible." Jiraiya nodded with a dumb expression. "I am afraid. Currently, there is only one shinobi in Konoha who might be able to match such inhuman speed, Uchiha Shursui. He might stand a chance against these two, in terms of the speed department, at least." Tsunade thought a little and said, "It wouldn't be wrong to say that both of them stand at the pinnacle of taijutsu, unless it is someone who has mastered the kenjutsu Hashimantanku and has opened the state of Gate of Death." Although very reluctant, both Tsunade and Jiraiya also had to admit that in the current Konoha, almost no one can reach the inhuman level of strength of the two people in front of them. And listening to the comments and analysis of Jiraiya and Tsunade, who are legendary sannin, the Konoha shinobi on the sidelines felt palpitations. At the same time, they can't help but look at Fujin with a thankful gaze. Fortunately, a member of Amatsukami took the initiative to resist Hirako. Otherwise, this battlefield would have been filled with corpses of Konoha shinobi, and this battle wouldn't be about resisting Konoha's enemies. It would have been a battle for survival, with Hirako being their hunter, and them being the prey. Boom, 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 boom. In the dim light under the cover of stars, Fujin and Hirako were like ghostly existences, fast almost to the degree of invisibility, constantly flashing and fighting. No matter what they encountered along the way, houses, courtyard walls, streetlights, etc., were all broken or smashed with just the sonic boom and high-pressured airwaves produced by each of their collision. It didn't even take a few seconds, and an entire street was destroyed in just a few collisions. Kakashi was also shocked by what he was seeing in front of him, but he had to accept the reality. And ever since he lost the Sharingan, his insight has dropped, so to better understand the flow of battle, he had to ask Jiraiya next to him, "Jiraiya-sama, who do you think will win?" Jiraiya shook his head. "I am afraid I can't judge. They are too fast for me to be able to understand the flow of battle." Tsunade spoke her analysis. Hirako not only has swift release for speed, but also steel release for body strength and defense, coupled with the inside of the Sharingan. This battle would start to tilt in his favor if the stalemate continued. Akame, who was also watching the battle while standing next to Watatsumi, immediately said, "Fujin will definitely not lose." As soon as Akame spoke, the eyes of all Konoha shinobi converged on Akame's body. Watatsumi narrowed his eyes and immediately thought, if a stray rock were to crush her, would I be suspected of murdering her? Kakashi quickly asked, "Fujin? Are you saying that the name of this Amatsukami member is Fujin? Is it the real name or the code name? And how did you know?" Akame realized that she has made a slip of the tongue and had to explain. "When I was kidnapped by Orochimaru, it was because of him that I managed to sneak away. I heard Orochimaru call him by this name." Yes, it should be his code name, not the real name. Listening to Akame's reply, Watatsumi turned back to observing the battle and thought, "I guess she gets to live tonight." Tsunade said, "Fujin? Well, it does match the element of his disguise. He is indeed the representative of wind chakra nature. Konoha's intelligence team has analyzed that each of the members of Amatsukumi represents a specific chakra nature, and their code names also represent the Shinto gods that somehow or other represent the respective chakra nature, such as Yama, Suijin, Homusubi, and now Fujin. The leader Yama obviously represents In chakra nature, Suijin with the ice release Kekiai Genkai represents water chakra nature, Homusubi with the Manjikyu Sharingan, and unique golden flames represent fire chakra nature, and this Fujin in front of them represents wind chakra nature. And using this exact theory, the villages have also speculated that there should be 7 members in Amatsukumi, each one representing a unique chakra nature. So, in addition to the already known 4 members, there must be 3 other members. One representing earth chakra nature, the second representing lightning chakra nature, and the last one representing yang chakra nature.